I'm Chris Carter of the Locked On Steelers podcast, and this is your Locked On Now update as the Steelers have defeated the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati 16-10, advancing the Steelers to 7-4, and after the Texans' loss to the Jaguars, puts them now in 6th place in the AFC playoff race. Let's talk about this game a little bit. We'll do our full episode later, but this is my instant reaction to the game and getting a chance to follow along with all of the locker room discussions and things like that. For one, obvious talking point, the Steelers finally eclipsed 400 yards on total offense for the first time since 2020, and it comes the game after Matt Canada is fired. Certainly a talking point, but the Steelers only scoring 16 points in this game kind of brings that down a bit because you still wanted the Steelers to score a lot here. But I think what this game was an example of is how the Steelers can remain focused even when things aren't going their way. This was a game that initially looked snake bit, in my opinion. You had the Deontay Johnson drop touchdown that maybe could have been called a touchdown, maybe could have been challenged. Bottom line, if he just holds on to the ball, it's a touchdown. The Steelers aren't worrying about anything. You had 2 passes that were thrown at the Steelers defense. They tipped them, and they ended up in the hands of Jamar Chase for big gains for the Bengals that helped set up scoring opportunities. You had instances where you had chances to make big plays on defense, a sack by Shannon Sullivan that he just whiffed on and allowed for a big gain for the Bengals to get them out of their own end zone. Just missed opportunities there. But the bottom line was when the game needed to be had, the Steelers made the plays necessary to win. Kenny Pickett, despite not throwing a touchdown, avoided throwing an interception. He now has over 208 passes without an interception consecutively, longest in franchise history. And you got to say he looked good. 24 of 33 for 278. Yes, no touchdown passes. Yes, still, you want a little bit more there, but he took what was there throughout the game and looked coordinated in doing so. And that's where I think that you saw the impact of Eddie Faulkner, maybe just the organization of how the Steelers approach certain plays week in and week out could make the world of difference. Kenny Pickett, it's not that the playbook changed. It's not like they drew up all new plays. They said they couldn't do that. No team can do that week 12 going into in the season, changing things over like that. But what can happen, and as I said all along, you can teach better, you can organize better, and that's where I think Eddie Faulkner's coaching helped the Steelers. Now, again, this still wasn't a prime offensive performance. Yes, they gained 400 yards, but they didn't score enough points to make this a blowout of a game, which it really could have been had they capitalized on some other opportunities. But the Steelers still find a way to win, and that is the bottom line of how you move forward in the NFL. They got the ball back to Pat Freiermuth, 9 catches on 11 targets for 120 yards. That's what you want to see from him. Najee Harris looking great in this game, 15 carries for 99 yards and a touchdown, was huge in this game. I don't think the Steelers win without him, and you can't say enough about the defense in this game. TJ Watt, once again, getting after the quarterback. He gets 2 sacks, also added on with Nick Herbig, Cam Hayward, each getting a sack of their own. And Landon Roberts, again, looks cash money in this game. Trenton Thompson with a game-changing interception in this game. Also looked really good, had 5 tackles in this game. I'll be intrigued to look back and see if he missed any tackles because, honestly, him and Michael Walker, the inside linebacker who was promoted from the practice squad to start at linebacker next to Landon Roberts, both of them have looked solid since they've been up. They've given the Steelers a solid replacement play that allows their defense to stay stable and allows the rest of their team to go out there and make the plays. This was a good game for the Steelers to find a way to win. I think in other circumstances, the Steelers could have found a way to lose this contest if they had not done enough in certain situations. But as Mike Tomlin often preaches, it's about winning on the important downs. And if you look back at this game, the Steelers they finished officially 47% on third downs. But one of those failures was, of course, Kenny Pickett taking a knee at the end of the game. In ones that mattered, 8 out of 16. That's truly a 50% rate on third downs, much better than they'd been all season. And on defense, they held the Bengals to 2 out of 10, just 20% on third downs. I think that's a huge turnaround for the Steelers, or a huge point for the Steelers that they won there. Also, we said biggest thing in this game, they had to take away the run. They did that. The Bengals had 25 yards on 11 carries, no chance for them to run the ball. The Steelers, 153 yards on 33 carries for an average of 4.6 yards per game per play, and that is a good sign. The Steelers now with 4 straight games over 150 yards rushing. Really good sign on that point. But this looked like the most composed we'd seen the Steelers offense, even though they only scored 16 points. They have to finish drives better, but I think there's something to work with in this performance that you got in this game. I want to go over some more defensive talking points as far as things that I think can carry forward in the coming weeks and why the Steelers look better than people might expect at 7-4, still in the AFC playoff race. We'll do that in a second here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. This is our bonus episode where we do an instant reaction of the game. So just want to give you some more of my thoughts. We'll have the full episode come out where I break things down, go over all the quotes that were given after the game, and give you my full thoughts of things, especially as I get a chance to look back over certain things. But I thought, again, the defense finding ways to win, making sure certain matchups were the right way were so important in this game. That, yes, the Bengals had a backup quarterback, but you know what? The Steelers have beaten people with backup quarterbacks before. The Steelers just lost to a backup quarterback last week. And despite that, you look at the Steelers right now and the way that they played, the Steelers this season, if you look at how they played overall, the Steelers defense continues to be the biggest part of the team, and they continue to win. And despite, yes, they lost last week to a backup quarterback, but that's now 4 straight games where they have held an opponent to less than 20 yards. In today's NFL, you take that. And in fact, that's 6 out of the last 7 games that the Steelers have held an opponent to less than 20 yards. The one time was against the Jaguars where they allowed 20 points. The Steelers defense is good. And I think that when the overall statistics come out at the end of the day, you'll see that I think going into this weekend, they were the number 7 defense when it came to allowing points in the NFL. I think that's definitely going to go up when you only allow 10 points in a game and everyone else is playing their game. So they'll be even higher there. But the Steelers defense continues to find answers. They show better play. Patrick Peterson showing that there was a good reason to bring him into the team. And again, all of this without Minkah Fitzpatrick, who was not in this game. And I think that there's something to be said that for the Steelers from making these adjustments mid-season. He's now missed a whole month of football. Cam Hayward missed a half of the season. I mean, that's now you're talking about collectively between them, maybe the entire season they have not had the full trio of Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, and that's the trio that's supposed to drive the playmaking on the Steelers roster. For them to still be playing at a high level and still being able to carry this team to 7-4 right now with a chance to make a real push in the coming weeks, that says a lot to what this defense can do and is doing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that also brings up where the Steelers are right now. As I'm recording this, it's like 4:51 Eastern time after the Steelers game. The Broncos are up 7-0 on the Browns. I picked the Broncos to win this week. I said the Browns have not been a good road defense, and that's been the thing that's carried them. And with their backup quarterback situation, I think it would be tough for them to win on their own. If the Broncos win, I do believe the Steelers take back possession, second place in the AFC North, as they would be tied. And I think the Steelers, they would have a better division record, because I think their division record is 3-1 versus the Browns is 3-2, and that would give the Steelers the driver's seat to get back into the race and try to catch the Baltimore Ravens. Because as you look at the standings right now, the Ravens 8-3, Steelers 7-4. The Steelers play the Ravens on the last game of the season, and even if both teams won out the rest of the way, it would be down to that game, because the Steelers would be able to play the Ravens, and if they won, they would have swept the Ravens. That would tie their records, even if the Ravens win every game up to then and the Steelers win every game up to then, and that would give the Steelers the chance to win the AFC North. Like I said all week long, that is not out of the conversation right now. This Steelers team, I know some people are going to find the negatives to look at in this game, but I think there were so many positives from Kenny Pickett actually processing the field, actually taking what was there, involving Pat Freiermuth, also involving Darnell Washington at times. Very good signs. The ability to run the ball when you needed to run the ball. The defense finding ways to get wins in certain situations. All these things are adding up to a Steelers team that, again, I do think will be the answer, or will find the answers to be one of the better teams in the NFL and still have a chance to not only make the playoffs, but even potentially win their division in the AFC North in a highly competitive AFC North. We have a lot more to break down. We'll do that all here on the Locked On Steelers podcast for our full episode. Tune in on our YouTube channel or on our podcast channel, wherever you download your podcast from. Again, I'm Chris Carter. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Carter Critiques. You can check me out here, Locked On Steelers podcast, Monday through Friday, all week long. We'll see you then right here when the full episode returns for the Locked On Steelers podcast.